Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're glad you could be here. My guest today is Alba Velez, and she's here to talk about the work she does and how the energy work that she does helps people. And I'm going to read her biography, and then we'll have a fun conversation that I'm sure you'll enjoy hearing about. So Alba Velez uses reflexology, aromatherapy, red light therapy, and myokinesthetic therapy to bring clients into alignment in body, heart, and soul by holistically finding the root of the problem to correct and heal until positive change is achieved. Healing happens from the inside out and includes healing emotional wounds, mental blocks, and improving physical body function. Her passion is for serving people and helping them improve their quality of life. And you can reach her at her website which is her office at bodyheartandsoul.com, and at her wellness center, which is sincorawellnesscenter.com. And great. So, Alba, thank you so much for being here with me. And I'm really excited to hear more about the work you do. So, and to know how you got interested in the work, and how it feeds you. So, as well as others. So, if you could tell whatever part of your story you'd like to tell, I'd love to hear it.
Will do. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate, and I'm honored to be here today. Well, you know, being a holistic practitioner was not something I said as a kid that I wanted to grow up and be. I didn't even know what that was. And so I went to college at Kansas State University, and I got my bachelor's in social work. And so I did a variety of different kinds of social work related jobs in my early years. And then later, when I became a mom, I let go of my career and was a stay-at-home mom. While I was a stay-at-home mom, I started feeling lonely and feeling like I needed some outlets. And so I went to a local gym for women, and I didn't have a lot of money at the time. And so I asked if I could work in trade for the use of the gym. And I worked at their front desk. And my two little babies at the time, I've got three now, but at the time I had two, would go to the nursery while I worked. And when I wasn't working, I could go to the gym and get my personal exercise time, but also adult time. And that's how I socialize and how I got my shower while the babies were having fun in the nursery. And that later turned into a fitness job for me, because one of the things I was taking regularly was Pilates. And the lady who taught the Pilates class was going to be gone a week. She was excited to be going to California, to be going to some conference, Pilates conference by Madonna's trainer. And she needed somebody to sub her class. And she said, Alba, you've been taking Pilates from me. You know my class better than anybody else. And so she asked me to teach her class that week. And so there was 3 classes that week. And I got a lot of good comments from the participants. And so then she said, would you like to train? And so I ended up training in various aspects of Pilates, personal training and group classes. And that's what I've been doing the longest, since 2006. And it's through that I first began the love of our physical functions, and alignment, and learning how to use exercise as ways to do like physical therapy type of exercise. And when people didn't have certain abilities and mobility, that we could, through exercise, help them to increase their mobility and abilities. And that's where my passion for alignment and posture and all that kind of started and began. And through that, I was also taking aerobic like fitness classes. And same thing happened there. There was a gal who had to miss a lot because she actually lived an hour away. And because of traffic, she was late to her morning class. And I often just taught it while we waited for her to show up. And eventually they just said, hey, do you want to just have this class? So then I was on the journey of learning how to teach fitness classes and became a fitness instructor and a personal trainer for probably a good 5 years or so. But somewhere in those 5 years, my physical body started doing weird things. It started out with while I was teaching weight loss circuit classes, which we use step, like step aerobic kind of. It's not step aerobics, but we use the steps from step aerobics. And in that class, my legs, especially my calves, would start cramping, and I would have to just verbally teach, and I couldn't do the movements. And I thought, well, maybe I'm not drinking enough water. I'm not hydrated enough. Maybe I need more potassium, need to eat more bananas or whatever. And it just kept getting worse. And my even though I exercised and stretched every day, my mobility and flexibility was slowly decreasing. And for several years in a row, about every 6 or so months, I would go to the doctor saying, hey, my body's being weird. And he would have me touch my toes and do some movements. And because I had better mobility than the average person, he's like, oh, you're fine. But I'm like, you don't understand, this isn't my normal. And so I was just brushed aside. And as the time went by, the list of symptoms started to grow. And I got to where if you just touched me like that, it would hurt. And I was starting to have a lot of chronic fatigue. I was starting to get insomnia. I was brain fog. The list just kept increasing, and I'm not gonna say list you all my things. There were like 10 or 12 things. And because of the way I felt, it started to become harder and harder to teach classes. And so I started teaching less and less and less and less until I got to the point where I wasn't teaching at all anymore. I couldn't. I was actually had a hard time getting out of bed. It would take me 30 minutes to get out of bed. I would have to stretch to get out of bed. I would have to have help to get out of bed. Wow. And I parented from the couch, and I had 3 little boys at this point. And it was a really rough time. And, I wasn't bedridden, but I really couldn't do much, and didn't have energy for a whole lot, and didn't get to be the mom I wanted to be during those years. And the day that I fired my doctor because he told me he didn't have time for me, literally said those words. He said, I don't have time for all your aches and pains. Find the one thing on your list. I brought him the list thinking maybe this would make sense. Like, oh, those things together means this. And he said, I don't have time for all your aches and pains. Pick the one thing that bothers you most on your list. And that's what we're going to deal with today. And that's the last time I went to a doctor about my problems. And within a couple months of that, I met a girl that she was a midwife, and she delivered babies in her home. And she was into the holistic natural world, and she introduced me to a naturopath doctor. And within 2 months, I met like 5 different people that did 5 different holistic things. And all of them within 10 minutes of talking to me were pointed to the same problem. And so what they all said is I had a liver function disorder. And so I started with them, and on my own, started doing things to heal my liver. And I even did a 21-day liver reset diet, which was actually the thing that helped me the most. Within less than 2 weeks of that, I was able to get out of bed. Like, it was just amazing. And one of the first things that I did for myself was I trained and learned how to do reflexology, and that's where that came in. And so I certified in reflexology so that I can do it to myself. And I did it to my kids and my family, and slowly started doing it for friends. Next thing you know, people are paying me to do it. And I didn't really have an office, but I was like a portable practitioner. And so I started doing the reflexology, and then I ended up slowly, as I started gaining my health back and getting my strength back, I went back to teaching Pilates as well. So then for a while I was doing reflexology and Pilates. And as time continued, And I also started using essential oils. But one of the things I noticed was how popular essential oils were becoming, and people were using them willy-nilly. And everybody was using them. And I knew that essential oils, even though they're good and natural, could be dangerous if not used properly. And I wanted to be properly trained. So I ended up getting a certification, a pretty elite certification. So that, and it was a certification to become an essential oil teacher. And so I started teaching classes on how to know whether essential oils are a good quality and how to use them properly. And I started teaching people how to make products with them, and started selling some of my own. And I used them in my reflexology. And then just as time and opportunity came around, I just kept being curious about more and more things. And the Myokinesthetic Therapy came about because a girl I know did that therapy. And I had at the time a bulging disc in my L5S1 area, and it would lock my back up. And I sometimes could just be literally just pouring something, and my back would throw me down to the floor. It was just the oddest thing. And within 2 months of her doing myokinesthetic therapy on me, my bulging disc was healed. And she was moving away from Topeka, moved to Arizona. And she said, hey, if you've ever considered doing this as a therapy, now's your chance, because my clients here won't have anybody. Nobody else does here this in town. And so literally the weekend she was moving, I was certifying.
Wow.
And so, it has just been evolving, as opportunities come to me, or as I seek through curiosity and desire knowing more and coming across new things, and learning and studying and certifying. I've just kind of been adding more and more under my belt. And it has brought my health back, but I have been able to raise 3 boys without medications. They have no idea what it's like to take meds. If they even get a headache, they're like, Mom, I need some oils, or I need tea.
Right.
They start to feel a tickle in their throat and they think they might be getting sick. They're like, Mom, can you make me a tea? Can you give me some oils? Can you do some reflexology on me? They're
Very cool.
22, 21, and 15, and
Wow.
medication is not a part of their life.
That's totally awesome. So
Yeah.
you have a great story, such that's a personal experience that drove your interest into it. Could you tell me more about the myokinesthetic? I'm not real
Sure.
familiar with that.
Most people are not. It's a very young therapy. I can't remember what year he started it, but I do know that in 2015, there's 3 training classes, and in the third, you don't become fully certified until you do the third training. And in my third training, there was about 60 people in that class, and our 60 got us to the 200 line of how many practitioners worldwide there were. So I was within the first 200 people to be certified in it. So it's and what's amazing and kind of cool, being that we're from the Midwest, from Kansas specifically, the guy, Dr. Mike Uriarty, was from Kansas City, on the Kansas side. And so it was birthed in Kansas. And so it slowly, instead of things coming from the East and West Coast and coming into the center, it started in the center, and it's slowly working its way out. And he's now, has even gone overseas to do some trainings, and it's been growing. I have no idea how many practitioners there are now, but it's a lot. But it's a very difficult therapy, honestly, to explain. And it's hard, even when I explain it to you here in a second, you really don't get it until you experience it. So bear with me and just know that you just have to try it. But basically, it resets the nervous system, manipulating the muscles and nerves. And so it was invented by a chiropractor who believes in the principles of everything is about alignment and posture. Like, everything stems from that. And if you think about it, all of our nerves are connected to our vertebrae. And our body is a two-way street. So if you, let's just say you are an alcoholic or eat a lot of bad fatty foods, and you have a liver that, which was one of my cases at the time, have a liver that is not functioning well. The nerves that are attached to the vertebrae of the liver are going to be affected and out of alignment, which causes a posture. And so what this does is it works through the dermatome of from the vertebrae, like where all the nerves go to in the body. So let's say, for example, I'll use C6 as an example. My C6 vertebrae, the sixth cervical down in my neck, all of the nerves from that vertebrae go down my neck, over my shoulders, chest, upper back, down my arm, and to my thumb and first finger. So if you've got carpal tunnel, you'll do a C6 treatment because it goes from the neck to the thumb. Okay. And so this therapy, what you do is you bring the body back into alignment by manipulating the muscles and nerves connected to a specific vertebrae. It feels to you like a specific massage. You don't get undressed. But like I may have you do a movement like this with your hand, which contracts and expands the forearm. And I'll sit here and I'll just massage the nerves and muscles there on that forearm while you're doing this movement. And it'll be a series of movements with touch, stimulating the nerves while you're doing the movement of a specific nerve pathway from your vertebrae to wherever that nerve pathway ends. And I know it sounds really crazy.
Oh, no,
but
not
it's
at all.
amazing. And what happens is, you're either sitting on a chair when I do it, if it's upper body, or you're laying on a mat if it's lower body. And then when you stand up, your body resets. And so a person might come into my office with one shoulder up, one shoulder down. And in one treatment, they may be more like this, where this is still a little higher, but they're this much closer to straight. And then as they continue to come, their shoulders slowly until we reach straight shoulders. And not only does this therapy bring your body into alignment, but I'm also using the knowledge I have from my Pilates, and I teach them, these are the muscles that are weak in your body that are kind of helping you be thrown out of alignment. These muscles need strengthened. Meanwhile, these muscles are really tight because they've kind of been holding on to everything while these muscles have been weak. So we need to release these muscles over here, and we need to strengthen these muscles over here. And that will help you hold what we're doing and not recreate the problem again. And so my whole goal is not to help you feel better. It's to correct the problem and not create it again.
Yeah.
So, I've had people who came because they were scheduled for knee surgery and the doctors have said, you're bone on bone, there's nothing else we can do. And we do the therapy and they feel better. Their swelling goes down, their inflammation goes down, their body's back in alignment. So they're no longer rubbing incorrectly because their body's in alignment. And so now it's not rubbing wrong, not creating that arthritic inflammation. And they don't have to keep coming to me. They continue doing at home, their daily exercises and just do preventative. And years have gone by and they still haven't had surgery. I've done it for spinal stenosis and all sorts of bulging discs and carpal tunnel, like not needing carpal tunnel surgery, you give the body the tools it needs, it heals itself.
That's awesome. And invented by a chiropractor, you said. Like, I love chiropractic, just because I can go in and come out 15 minutes later and feel good.
Correct.
And but how much that would work in coordination with it, among other things. I mean, if you get it straight and then do that to keep it straight, and then keep it ongoing with your exercise work. Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it's hence the holistic approach. I tell people
Hmm.
nothing is a one thing fix all, you know. Uh, I always say, you know, if while you're doing these treatments, you want to have a chiropractic treatment, it just complements. It's not going to hurt anything. If you want to get a massage in the middle of our sequence of appointments, that's only going to enhance and help, not make it worse. You know, if
Right.
you want to start exercising, yeah, let me help you know which ones to do and not do.
Yeah.
How to do it and how not to do it. Because actually, you know, my Pilates classes aren't really about trying to, it's not as much a fitness class as it is a functional class. In fact, I call it functional Pilates. In the class, I will show you, like, even if we're like, you know, have hand weights, I will say, this is where I want you to put your shoulders. This is how I want your head. This is how I want you to hold your pelvis. This is
Hmm.
how to engage your core while you're doing something as simple as lifting the weight up and down. You know,
Wow.
so I do a head to toe, like this is where your body needs to be. This is how you need to be holding yourself in order to use your body correctly while you do this move. A, to not hurt yourself, and B, to strengthen your muscles in the right way. For example, um, you know, if you're lifting weights, I'm just going to use a little press here.
Hmm.
If you're using your shoulder to shrug that whole time, where are you going to be sore? Right here in that neck scaling area. You're using the wrong muscle. So I have them
Hmm.
hold that down. I say, bring your arm up as high as you can to keep this down. Don't bring it up to your ear. Keep the shoulder down and go all the way up without bringing your shoulder to your ear. And so it
Hmm.
changes which muscles you're using, and you're not overdoing and tightening the neck.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Well, interesting. Yeah, I think I should come to you. Uh, well, it sounds like it's
Pilates, so
ex.
anybody can come. I
Yeah.
have people in person in the studio, but I also have my computer, and so I have people who've done class with me from Florida, from Texas, um, from other cities in Kansas,
Hmm.
California. So you know, anybody can join us.
But it sounds like it's ideal for repetitive motions, or those that are, say, like I do biofield tuning, and it's one of the motions I do frequently is you after you strike the tuning fork and you lift it from the body up to the outer edge of the biofield, basically to clear the pathway of energy, right? Well, you have constant, repetitive of I'm right-handed, so I'm using my right hand most of the time. Sometimes I remember and try to use my left, but I can see, it can become problematic. I
Absolutely. And that's actually one of the things I address, especially when I work with people privately. Um, if you were to work with a tennis player who's right-handed and does all their tennis swinging with their right hand, even when you backhand, you kind of still doing it with your right hand, but your left hand kind of adds support.
Mhm.
Um, if you were to work privately with that one tennis player, what you would do is you would, during your exercise time, you would use weights or resistance bands and have this arm do the movements that the other arm does as an exercise in order
Okay.
to strengthen it in the same way that this arm is being strengthened by doing tennis. And
Right.
this arm is more flexible, less strong and tight, and this one is stronger and tighter. So when we do stretching, this one stretches for twice as long as this side. Because if
Okay.
you stretch them the same amount, 10 counts each side, you're going to be lopsided just the same as you were when you first started. So we'll do
Right.
10 counts on this side, 5 on this side to get this one to increase its flexibility to catch up with this side's flexibility. So you don't treat both sides of the body, front to back, side to side, up and down, the same. You
Hmm.
you treat each part of the body as independent and give it what it needs specifically. So
Nice.
even in my group classes, I will say, hey, whichever way is your tighter side, stretch longer on that side. So I still
Mhm.
incorporate personal training even in group classes, and I teach them to think independently. Don't just do what I'm doing. If I'm moving on, but you need to stretch longer, you keep going, you'll catch up.
Mhm.
So Yeah, and it's a lot about mind body awareness. I help you become aware of your body and what you need and what to do.
Well, and I think that's really, really important because a lot of people um, just haven't learned or haven't taken the time or thought of the importance of listening to your body and feeling into where you're feeling stuff when you're moving in certain ways. And it's amazing, I think, of how much I can feel of, and not just in the body, but of energy around you and things. I mean, it's I think something important that's well, like so many things, we just aren't taught. We just don't know that those truths have been lost through the years, right? I'm guessing at some point in history, everybody knew the about the myokinesthetic, not perhaps the same movements, but the general knowledge of how to keep yourself in alignment, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just been lost and thankfully coming back. So
Yes.
that's, yeah. So
People
when,
are starting to want to know.
yes, yeah, I think it's a part of the general greater awakening of spiritual coming, or maybe the physical comes first and the spiritual comes later, but you can't disconnect the two of those, right?
No,
Like your business, right? Body, mind, spirit. Is that, did I say that
body,
right?
heart, and soul.
A body, heart, and soul. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. So when did your I was going to say your red light therapy, how did that come in?
So body, heart, and soul does not do red light therapy. We have, so I have been body, heart, and soul. Um, that evolved as my thing.
Hmm.
I've always wanted, since I've gotten into wellness, I've always had this vision of having a wellness center. And a friend of mine, Deanna Estenson, who is a retired cosmetologist, who did many years of hair and nails and all that kind of stuff. She then, during her years of getting ready to retire and now retired, she became a certified life and wellness coach. And she also had a vision of maybe doing retreats. And so she and I have done a couple small local retreats and and kind of put our visions together and have been planning on putting a wellness center together. Well, things happen all of a sudden, unexpectedly, and next thing you know, we have a wellness center. And we were functionally nameless since October of 2023. But then in April of 2024, we became officially Syncora Wellness Center. And Syncora Wellness Center is kind of like the mall of our vision, and body, heart, and soul and other entities rent space from Syncora Wellness Center. And basically it's a one-stop wellness shop. It's small, but our vision is to keep growing and to become a center of a variety of practitioners. And you can come in, every time you come in, to see a different person to do different things. And Empower originally had the place that we are renting from, and they had the red light. And we are currently managing their business and maybe looking into buying them out. But it is considered a Syncora Wellness Center service, not a body, heart, and soul one.
Hmm.
But I'm also a co-owner of it, so it's something I do and provide. And we have other team members that help with getting our clients in the red light. And so basically I wear two hats. I own two businesses, and I I work on the equipment that we have at the center, but I also do my hands-on services with Body, Heart, and Soul. And red light is just one of the things that we do at the center.
And on your website, I saw, so then like maybe the oxygen bar and the amethyst biomat, those are all under the big category.
That's under the
And
big category. And actually, what's becoming the most popular lately, and being that you're big on energy, I think you would like this. It's
mm-hmm.
called the Energy Genesis Sound Machine. And it's kind of nicknamed the coffin. It has two big open doors, and it looks like this bed chamber.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice and comfy and cozy. And we put a little pillow and something under your knees. We can put on a blanket. We can even put a weighted blanket on you. And then we close the doors and you're completely enclosed. It's large in there. So you're not like, if you're claustrophobic, you've got plenty of space. In fact, two people can go in there. And you can have the lights on or off. We also have the color spectrum lights above your face. That's good for your eyes. And we put frequency music in there. And the frequency music is based on what it is that your goal, what your goal is. And you can do frequency for physical healing, mental healing, emotional healing, any kind of healing. But what it is most known for, and what the clients that we currently have, the majority of the ones that use it are using it for trauma healing. We have a lot of PTSD people, whether it be from seeing a loved one die, like seeing something tragically happen, or having something tragically happen that they didn't see but wasn't expecting and lost a child in a tragic event. We have people who have childhood trauma from childhood abuses of various sorts, and all kinds of different, PTSD from different kinds of trauma. And it is amazing the results that they are getting. We have one person who had not been able to cry, and this actually helped them cry. Yeah. And some people use it because they have anxiety and have a hard time relaxing. We have people who have insomnia issues and they'll actually fall asleep in there. Just, you name it. We've used it just for pain, and we've used it for migraines. And it's just energy healing.
Yeah, beautiful.
And when you're in there, you not only hear the frequency, but you feel the vibrations, because the music is surrounding the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
You actually are buzzing, like you're feeling the vibration all over. Similar to like when you do the tuning fork and you can feel the vibration.
Right. Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And so
So
yeah, go ahead.
you have a list of vibrations and what you can use them for, and what people just choose what they want, or how does that work?
We just do like just a personal, like what is it that you want to work on? We have like a little coaching time,
Mm-hmm.
and what do you want to use it for? What's your goal? And we actually keep notes. And so when somebody else, a different member comes, they can see what you've been working on, what frequencies we've been working with. And then afterwards ask them, how did that work for you? Did we get feedback from them? We also encourage them to journal afterwards and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's not like a list. We just say, what do you want to work on? And then once we know what they want to work on, then we look up and see which ones we can find that covers that. And there's so many to choose from that sometimes it's like, okay, this one wasn't that great, but here's another one that does the same thing, but it's a better vibration, the one that resonates better. And so sometimes we try a few different ones before we find one that's like, okay, that's the one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're all such a different, unique combination of the emotions and experiences, which are all vibrations, right, that make up. So no wonder you have to kind of hit and miss a little to to find the best one?
The red light is the biggest draw. People are hearing about red light more and are curious about red light. And the thing is, just like everything in the world, you have your high quality and you have your lower quality of everything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same with red light. Red light's become popular, and there's a lot of cheaper red light out there.
Right.
And there's a lot of, you know, the more not just more expensive, but higher quality and everything in between. And so we have a high-end piece of equipment. It's a $40,000 piece of equipment.
Wow.
Some people say, oh, you guys are more expensive, but we have a quality red light.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the cheaper places will only put you in like 10, 15 minutes. We put you in 25 to 30.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting twice as long and twice the quality.
Voltage.
And
Yeah.
so it's worth the extra money. We also offer memberships. The membership makes it way more affordable because red light is intended to be used. It's recommended that you use like 3 times a week. And if you were to use it 3 times a week, it's $99 per time. And so that's almost $300 in a week. Nobody's going to afford that.
Right.
And so we have a $300 a month. It's $299 membership, which not only allows you unlimited red light. So you can come 3 times. If you come 3 times the first week, your second, third, and fourth week are free. But not only do you get the red light all like unlimited, but you get all of our equipment unlimited. And so it's basically like coming into a gym, you know, but they have to, it's a by appointment only. So they set appointments and they can do the red light and then lay on the amethyst mat, or they do the red light and go lay in the chamber, or they do the red light and do the foot plate and the oxygen bar. We also have an ionic foot bath. So sometimes like once or twice a month, they'll throw in a foot bath to get all those toxins out. So all of the equipment is included in our monthly membership. And I also have a sauna in my garage that's waiting to get put together. But we were thinking we were going to wait till we move to a bigger space because we're kind of running out of space. We're outgrowing where we are. In a limbo place right now. But that's what Syncora is about. Syncora is the equipment and the space where other practitioners can also work and do what they do.
Well, very neat. So I have a question for you. You have a vast amount of knowledge of all the things that are working together there for the body. Do you find different ways or notice things where you're following your intuition much more than just knowledge based on it?
Absolutely. It's kind of hard not to, and sometimes you don't even think about it that way. You just do it. But yeah, a lot of it is, you know how sometimes something isn't obvious, but then when you see it, you can't not see it. It's kind of like that. You know, sometimes you just have done it so many times and you did it originally with your knowledge, but then as you start experiencing, you start to notice patterns, you start noticing hunches and vibes about stuff. And you know, and once you notice that, you can't not notice that. It just becomes a part of the knowledge and the experience and the intuition all become almost like one thing.
And it's like you listen for that, right?
Yeah.
Listen to the energy or feel into the energy for those things. Yeah.
In fact, I don't necessarily say this to all my clients because, you know, not everybody necessarily believes in God or spirituality or whatever. And I don't want anybody to feel like, you know, that they can't come to me because I may be a spiritual person or a person that believes in God or whatever, but I do share with some of them. And one of the things that I do before I work on a client is I always connect with God and the client first and take a moment of connection. And ask God, as some people would say, source or
Mm-hmm.
creator or whatever word you may use. And I ask for guidance. I ask for wisdom. I ask that my words, my thoughts, and that my hands do and say and think what is the best for this client right now. And invite spirit to work with and through me. I don't really feel like I do this all on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, say the prayer to for the client that the client may be able to receive and to release as needed. And I feel that that's an important part of my work, because I don't believe necessarily that I do this all on my own. And I
Right.
always express gratitude before and after for that person.
Yeah, well, I hear you because the way I see it anyway, we're made of spirit. We're spirit beings first. We're made of all the light particles and the space between the particles, and the space is spirit. And it's like, so we're spirit first, and then it condenses, right? And we become the body on top of the spirit, or together with the spirit. And it's like, but I do the same things when I start a session. It's like I stop and say, okay, you know, show me where to start, show me what to do, you know, help me listen. Um, Basically the same thing, and just listen and be shown where to start and what to do next, and what tool to grab next. And yeah, like you were saying earlier, on working them all together. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And how the frequencies of not just the color, the red light, but the frequency of the scents in your aromatherapy, and the frequency um, then in your body created by the massage or the reflexology, all work together to clear the stuck energy that comes from the trauma, or big and small traumas, right? We all have so much uh we'll never run out. We could come to whatever modality we like, or combinations of modalities, and do that daily for the rest of our lives, and we'll never clear it all.
Right.
But we'll feel better and have a lot better quality of life, which is your goal, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I always tell my clients, my goal is um, for you not to need me anymore, but to just want me.
Well, and totally, totally unlike the pharmaceutical, medical, and
Mhm.
not even pharmaceutical, but the standard doctor's offices, right? The conglomerate healthcare system, where nothing is healed. Well, there are some individual doctors that work for healing, yes, but it's like the whole system is designed to keep you just functioning enough so that you don't die, so that you keep putting your money toward them,
Right.
but
Which was my
never
experience with
never
my
get well.
doctor saying, I don't have time for your aches and pains. Just pick one from your list. We'll deal with that one today. He
Yeah.
wanted me to be able to come 10 more times to get all the different parts of my my list. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
ridiculous.
I don't have time for that. I have 3 babies at home.
Yeah. Well, you have a life to live, right? And you want to live it with gusto and with
Absolutely.
pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you enjoy most about your work?
You know, I'm a social person, first of all. So um, I really get my social needs out of that and connection with people. I love connecting with people. But the part that makes even the days that I feel too tired to go in, or I'm having a busy day and I'm exhausted or whatever, what makes everything I do worth it is when the person is walking out or they text or email me later and tell me how much better they feel. And you see the smile and joy on their face. There's nothing more rewarding. I get text messages sometimes, like a few hours later, and they're like, oh my gosh, I just blank, 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 blank. And it's amazing the different things people say. Like, I was able to do this today and it didn't hurt. Or I have so much energy today, whatever. Or I got a full night's sleep, just whatever the different things are. Or one of my favorite ones, this lady had fibromyalgia, and she was, I think, in her upper 50s when I was seeing her. And she had fibromyalgia since like she was 20 years old, 1920. And her whole adult life, she didn't know what a day without pain felt like. Not one day from 20 to 50 some, she didn't know one day without pain. And our third appointment, she left feeling pretty good. She went to work. The next time she came in, she said to me, and with tears in her eyes, she said that when she went to work, people were asking her, did you do something different with your hair? Something about you looks different. Why do you look different to me? Like, and she had several people like approach her saying she looked different. And you know what her answer was? I don't feel pain today.
Oh, wow.
She hadn't done anything else different. She didn't do anything different to her hair. She hadn't done anything physically different to herself. But the pain has a look.
Oh, it hurts.
And
Yeah.
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 And when you are in pain for so many years, you start to look like a miserable person. And she
Mm.
didn't even know that her pain was that visible in her face until the day she didn't have it. And people could tell that something was different, but they couldn't put their finger on it. And she's bawling, telling me, I don't have any pain.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is so beautiful.
Yeah.
S-
I had a lady one time who came because she had been experiencing severe migraines for over 10 years. And she was married to a doctor. And so she had all the best medical everything and anything that she can get her hands on. And her husband was a very loving husband, very good doctor. And every medical treatment, every medical medication, everything medical that they could get their hands on for migraines, she did for 10 years and nothing was working. And she heard about me from somebody, and I took her migraines away. And unfortunately, just like literally as we're, I don't even know that we finished the whole sequence. Usually within the first to third, we've already kind of have done the bulk of it, but then you just continue to phase out because your body needs time to memorize and hold
mhm.
the new pattern
Right.
and the posture. And
Right.
so it's not like a one and done. And we had only done a handful, and they had to move, I want to say, to like Nevada or Las Vegas or somewhere, I know, in that direction. And so she ended up moving. And I tried to find a practitioner that did what I did. And this was actually like 2015, 2016. I don't even remember if I found somebody for her or not. I have lost track of her. But in those sessions, she had stopped getting migraines.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah. So, and I have
Powerful.
several people now with migraines. Um, and so it helps, it helps with so many things because it not only helps with physical, but our physical, um, our physical body is muscles and nerves, but our organs are also muscles with nerves.
Yeah.
So I've even helped people get to their lowest doses of thyroid medications and diabetes meds and other medications for other organs, because not because I mean I can't lower their doses, I'm not a doctor, but when they go to the doctor and do their lab work, their numbers are better. And
Hmm.
so the doctors are like, oh, let's lower your dose. And
Right.
so a lot of my clients are on the absolute lowest doses they can take. And I even probably think they could get off the meds. But that's between them and their doctor to figure
Right.
out. But one of my favorite people to work with now is people with cancer, whether they're doing it all natural or whether they're doing it as a combo between medical and um, natural. It has helped a lot of people with cancer, including my dad. And I took a month off and I went to Georgia and I helped my dad out for a month as he was visiting an oncologist, and I went to his appointment so I can ask questions,
Hmm.
which I was glad because there's a lot of things my dad would have done or wouldn't have done if I wouldn't have been there. That the fact that I was there really changed everything for him that he wouldn't have known to ask. And and he actually started healing before he started doing uh, the chemo. I had started doing my myokinesthetic therapy on him. I did the reflexology on him. I'd done some massages on him. I started having him do oils every day. I started having him do different teas, including turmeric tea, and using certain herbs in his foods on a regular basis. I eliminated foods that I said, don't eat these things anymore. Uh, Changed his lifestyle as much as I could before I came home. And he had one more lab work with the nephrologist as he was starting the chemo. And the nephrologist said, wow, your kidney function has already improved.
Awesome.
And my dad didn't say anything, but I'm like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
he thought as to why my dad's kidney function had already improved, um, but a lot of people who do chemo and do this other stuff, um, my first lady that I worked with, what she discovered was she had started doing chemo before she came to me. And every time she had a chemo session, she would be very sick afterwards and very weak. And sometimes didn't have her white blood cells up high enough, and her immune system wasn't um, good enough to do the next chemo session. And so they would have to wait. Well, when she started doing treatments with me, what she discovered was that when she did her chemo, she wasn't sick afterwards, and she bounced back a lot faster. And every time she was ready for her next session, her immune system was not plummeting. And so it worked really, really well for her.
Well, it sounds like that it encourages their body to naturally heal itself so much that if someone was had enough courage and strong enough intention to just do what you're doing and as many other natural modalities or eating habits and things combined with that, your body would heal itself without the hospital work.
Right.
There's a much potential. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not poo-pooing medical world and all that, because
Hmm.
there are times where I need them to, and there are things that they do that we need that the holistic world cannot do.
Sure.
But I think integrating and using a little bit of both is like the best of both worlds.
Yeah. So the goal is to so that we could all learn what the natural things could do so that you could do those as much as you could and then just fall back on the other when you needed them.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome. So before we close today, is there like a last thought or other thing you'd like to leave people with, or your how to get hold of you? Or,
Before I say how to get a hold of me, um, when it comes to holistic and natural, a lot of people think it's woo-woo and out there. But I always like to remind people that everything that I'm doing is not new. Everything that I'm doing has been done in ancient times. It's actually what should be called traditional medicine.
Mhm.
And the current medical that we call traditional should be called the alternative, because it's newer. People have been using herbs and oils and body work and energy and all those things, before the time of Jesus. I mean, if you are a Bible believing person, there was a lot of healing being done there, and the use of oils and herbs and things like that.
Mhm.
And so, I always like to remind people that this isn't anything new, that we're just kind of remembering and going back to what's always been. And it's just a matter of knowledge. And I homeschooled my kids to middle school, and they kind of went to school at different ages, depending on family circumstances and things. But um, and I would have homeschooled them through high school, except that they wanted to be a part of certain things that like school bands and drum lines and sports and things. So that's why they went to school. But my youngest son, who is 15 now, when he was still in grade school, and he was filling out this little worksheet that he was working on, one of the questions was something you find in your family's first aid kit. And the correct answer was Band-Aids, but he wrote essential oils. And, I laughed out loud, and I just thought that was just the sweetest, cutest thing. I took a picture of it so that I'd always have that, but I also have it in my mementos as something that I keep. And, what I want is to bring awareness of other options, and help people to not be afraid to try some of these older practices, and that it doesn't mean that you have to give up the medical, that you can do the two, and that that as you learn and as you experience, it slowly becomes a norm. And for us, this is everyday life. We use these things every day, and there's nothing weird about it or hard to do or anything like that. And it's just a matter of becoming aware and experiencing.
Yeah,
Which,
beautiful.
like I said, my kids, to them, if somebody offers them an aspirin because they have a headache, they'll be like, "What's that?" Like, they don't even know what's Tylenol. What? Huh? You do what? And they would be like, "No, thanks." And it's just because it's the world they know. And there's very, very healthy kids, and they rarely get sick. When they do get sick, they usually pop back up in like 12 hours. I mean, they sleep it off in 12 hours and they're back up. And like, "Can I go play?" And I'm like, "No, because you still had a fever 12 hours ago. So you still have to
Yes.
wait that 24 hours, even though you feel good already."
Yeah. Yeah. Let your body rest. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So could you then tell us how to get hold of you again?
Yeah.
And
So the wellness center is Syncora Wellness Center, and Syncora is spelled Syncora, wellnesscenter.com. And then my personal website is Body, Heart, and Soul, and the "and" is spelled out A-N-D. And the soul is like the sole of the foot because of reflexology. It's
okay.
S-O-L-E. So Body, Heart, and SOLE.com. So those are the two websites. And if you want to contact me personally, I prefer texting, which sounds a little impersonal, but I get so many junk calls that it's hard to know when I don't know a number, whether it's spam or whether it's somebody getting a hold of me. And I don't have somebody who answers phones for me. And I'm often, when somebody is trying to get a hold of me, I'm with a client, or I may be driving to pick up a kid at school, or with my family for dinner. And so, I usually tell people that the quickest way to contact me is through texting. And and even if you do want to have a phone conversation, then through text, we'll figure out a time, kind of
Mhm.
like we did. I say, okay, on this day at this time, we'll call each other and then we'll have a chat. And so then you're going to get a hold of me. And so it's not that I'm not willing to talk on the phone, but the texting is a quicker way to get to me. And so I do put that on my website, and my phone number is on my website. So everything you
Mhm.
need is on both websites.
Great. Awesome. Well, Alba, it's been a great conversation. I've learned a lot and really enjoyed getting to know what your work is like and you
Thank
and
you.
your goals. Yeah. So thank you. And thank you everyone for watching today. And hope you can make use of a lot of this information to improve your own or someone else's quality of life. And we'll catch you next week.
Thank you.